Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Female Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Danny, and today's podcast is going to be inspired by a recent conversation that I had with one of my one-to-one clients, whose goal at the moment is to build muscle tissue, but she has also pursued fat loss in the past, whilst we've also worked on her body image, her relationship with food, her overall health, and her life outside of all things training and nutrition. And she kind of came to me with the worry of, should I actually, am I okay to want to change my body? Am I okay to want to, build muscle tissue or have lost body fat before? And we had a conversation about this and obviously the context that surrounds the situation. And I said to her, first of all, even if you were in a position where the goal wasn't right for you at this moment in time, you should never feel guilty or shameful for wanting to change your body, whether that be due to, personal preference, whether it be due to you wanting to change your body to support your health and function, or whether, even if it is for the wrong reasons, you don't need to feel any guilt or shame for feeling that way, because it is often a kind of natural human instinct, especially when we're fed the message a lot on social media, or we have been in the past. I think things have changed slightly recently, but we definitely have been in the past that leaner is better and that fat loss, is going to solve a lot of our problems. And as I mentioned at the beginning, for some people it is appropriate to lose fat or build muscle tissue to support your health, to support your function. Or even just for personal preference if like your health is in a good spot. But for other people, it's maybe not the right thing to do if, for example, you have irregular or absent periods, or if you're doing it for external validation, or if you're really struggling with your body image or relationship with food, you might want to address those things first before thinking about actively changing your body composition. But even then, you do not need to feel guilty for wanting to change your body. And that's the message I want to get across today, that there is no judgment from me and you should not feel any guilt or shame for wanting to pursue body composition goals. It's just important to determine whether the goal is right for you at this moment in time, depending on your intention behind it. So the reasons why you want to pursue fat loss or you want to build muscle tissue, and depending on your circumstances. An example of where the intention might mean it's not right for you right now is if you have, imagine for years you've struggled with your body image, you've always had quite a negative relationship with yourself, you engage in a lot of negative self-talk, and you think that, you want to go into a fat loss phase in order to feel more comfortable and confident in your own skin. When you're in that kind of situation, the answer to you feeling more comfortable and confident in your own skin is at least partially, if not fully, addressing your body image and improving your relationship with yourself and your body rather than just pursuing fat loss. Fat loss can sometimes be a part of that, but you at least need to work on your body image alongside changing your body rather than just changing your body to try to feel more comfortable, confident in your own skin, happy, satisfied, and content. And that's where a lot of people go wrong, is when they don't feel good in themselves, when they don't feel happy, when they have a really negative relationship with themselves and negative opinion of their bodies. They'll go through fat loss phases and never really get that feeling that they're seeking. They'll kind of feel a little bit empty at the end of it. They will still really struggle with a lot of negative self-talk, maybe body dysmorphia, and they'll never really feel that way that they want to feel. They'll never feel truly comfortable and confident in their own skin, or them feeling comfortable and confident in their own skin is completely dependent upon them being the smallest versions of themselves, which is problematic because throughout our lives, we're going to see fluctuations in our bodies. And so we need to learn to be able to accept and deal with those fluctuations rather than our sense of self-worth being dependent upon us being the very smallest versions of ourselves. So that's something that we need to take into account when we're choosing what approach to take to feeling the way that we want to feel, to feeling comfortable and confident in our own skin. And if that's your intention for changing your body, is to feel more comfortable and confident in your own skin, I just urge you to take a pause and question whether that has, if you've been through fat loss phases in the past, has it solved those problems for you? Not just in the short term, but long term. Has it been the fix that you really need? And if it has, then if you're in this same position again where you're struggling again, why are you in this position again? Get curious about that. Do you need next time to focus more on your body image, or at least alongside changing your body, do the work on your body image so that you genuinely get to that place where you're happy, satisfied, and content in yourself for long-term success? That's what I want you to have a think about it. And I think about, sorry, and an example of where your circumstances might mean that it's not the right goal for you at this moment in time. That doesn't mean it's never going to be, but right now it might not be the best thing for you to do, is if you have irregular periods at the moment, or you have amenorrhea, so completely absent periods. Because if you were to pursue, say, fat loss in that kind of situation, you would be making your situation worse, because we partially often lose regular menstrual cycle function because of being in this state of low energy availability, which means we don't have enough energy coming in to support the exercise that we're doing and bodily functions. And so our body then sacrifices menstrual cycle function in order to keep our other bodily functions going and to keep us alive. But that comes with huge negative consequences, such as bone mineral density issues, potentially heart issues as you go through life. It can come with being cold all the time, an extremely low sex drive, impaired digestion, and you feeling quite low as well. Irregular periods and the low estrogen that's associated with that is also associated with poor mental health and increased risk of body image and relationship with food struggles, which you're probably already experiencing if you have irregular or absent cycles anyway. So it comes with a whole host of health issues, and that's why if you have irregular or absent cycles, you need to fix that issue first before you think about any kind of body composition goals. And make sure you're in a position of really good health before you consider anything like that. And it's really important, once you have decided whether the goal of building muscle tissue or losing body fat is right for you, it's important to assess whether there's work that needs to be done on your relationship with yourself and your body alongside that, in order to get you to a point where you're truly happy, satisfied, and content in your own skin. Because changing our bodies alone often doesn't lead to the outcome we're seeking. It's just sold to us that way. The kind of diet industry makes a ridiculous amount of money, and they push that message that, changing your body is going to solve all of your issues in order to make more money. And so it's important to have that understanding, and to recognize that often the work that we need is beyond surface level, at least partially. But even when the goal isn't right for you now, you don't need to feel bad for having the urge to pursue it, because it can, sometimes give us a sense of control when we feel out of control of other aspects of life. It can be something that leads to attention or eyes on us in some circumstances. And if you're someone who is, say, you're a coach running your business on social media, we know that it's easy to kind of be drawn to pushing content that grabs people's attention and gets more engagement. And the reality is that it's harder to do that if you don't use your body. However, it's much more fulfilling, and you're more likely to see long-term success as a coach if you focus on increasing engagement and getting those eyes on you through content beyond surface level that really demonstrates you're great at what you do, that gets your personality across and gets your knowledge across without just using surface level images of your body and photo shoot pictures and things like that. So it's important to bear that in mind that yes, engagement matters as a coach, but the quality of that engagement matters more than just the numbers. Like it doesn't matter, if you have say 100 people liking a post, if none of those people are the type of people you actually want to work with and that are going to make you feel fulfilled to work with and contribute to the long-term success of your business. And beyond that, it can heavily impact your own body image and relationship with yourself and your relationship with food if you're purely using the way that you look as a marketing technique. And so thinking beyond surface level and putting that extra effort in to learn to market yourself without just the use of the way that you look physically will pay off no end. And so really have a think about that, if you're a coach and think about ways in which you can market yourself beyond your own journey, or beyond just using the way that you look externally. There's nothing wrong with sharing your own journey within your content. I think there's, a lot of benefits that can come with that. But it's important that, the whole of your business doesn't just revolve around that, especially if it's related to the way that you look. And so it's important to kind of be intentional with the way that you're marketing yourself and question, if you have, for example, the urge to do a fat loss phase and document it for social media, knowing that it's going to bring engagement, take a pause and question, is this really right for me? What impact is this going to have on not just my business in the short term, but my business in the long term? And beyond that, me, my body image, my relationship with food, my physical health. And is that really worth it to me? It's important to assess whether the downsides are worth it, because whenever we go into, any sort of, I guess, whenever we chase any goal, there are always potential downsides that can come with chasing that goal, whether it be the time that we have to invest that would have to come from other areas of life, whether it be the potential downsides from like a body image, relationship with food, physical health perspective. There's always going to be potential downsides that we have to take into account and consider before we dive in head first. For some people, those potential downsides are going to be worth it. For example, if you need to lose body fat to support your health, then that's going to have probably for you a net positive rather than coming with a whole host of serious potential consequences. Whereas if you're someone who has irregular cycles, pursuing fat loss is going to come with really serious consequences that could just be not short term, but long term, long lasting. And is it really going to benefit you? Take a pause and question that. Probably not, other than providing a temporary sense of control and a temporary kind of comfort and sense of satisfaction. But that's not going to be long lasting. And it doesn't, it won't outweigh, if you think logically, the negative consequences that could come from a health perspective, both physically and psychologically, in terms of your body image, your relationship with food, and potentially your mental health as well, if you're in a state of irregular or absent cycles. So it's really important to ask the questions to yourself and take a pause before you dive in head first and ask or question, is there actually work to be done beyond surface level in order to feel how I want to feel? Because there's nothing wrong with pursuing fat loss or muscle gain when pursued in the right way at the right time. But people often far overestimate its importance and neglect the work that's really going to result in the outcome they're seeking, not just short term, but long term, and give them the skills and the kind of relationship with themselves, their bodies, their food they need to achieve the long-term success they're actually seeking. And something that's worth kind of reflecting on is, if you're someone who's been through numerous phases of fat loss and or muscle gain and you've still never felt how you want to feel, that for me is like a huge indication that that is not what you need. It's not the method that you should be repeating. If you want to change the way that you feel at the end of a process, if you want a different outcome, the process itself needs to change. You're not going to get a different outcome from repeating that same process again and again and again. And so that can be a really helpful little kind of a reminder or reality check. It can help put things into perspective. If you're someone who does kind of, you've never been happy in your own skin, you really want to feel that way, and you keep getting tempted to fall back into, I don't know, transformation challenges again and again, or cycles of fat loss and muscle gain and again and again and again, but you never feel how you want to feel. Use that as a sign that the process needs to change. Like you need work that goes far beyond surface level to achieve the outcome that you really, really want. So that's a little bit of a sign there. But, if you have got your relationship with food in a really good spot, your body image is in a really good spot, your physical health is great, then there's nothing wrong with wanting to build muscle tissue or lose body fat. It can be something that's supportive of our health, especially, building muscle tissue. We know that that's going to be really helpful for supporting injury prevention, our function as we age. It's going to help extend our life expectancy and all of these amazing things. And it's also okay to, care about how you look on the whole and want to build muscle tissue for that reason or lose body fat for that reason. It's just important to be aware of these little kind of warning signs that your health might be taking a hit or that there's other work that needs to be done alongside that. So I just wanted to kind of record this podcast as a bit of a friendly reminder and food for thought, whether you're actually, thinking about pursuing these goals yourself, or whether you're a coach who works with clients who want to lose body fat or want to build muscle tissue, I want to kind of remove some guilt and shame from that because you don't need to feel bad for it, but also just provide you a little bit of food for thought for some considerations of whether there's other work to be done either alongside or instead of that goal. So hopefully this podcast does that. If any of you have any questions whatsoever, you know that I'm always happy to help and I love hearing from you. So please don't hesitate to drop me a message on Instagram or send me an email. I love hearing from you. And if you're interested in more content like this from me that makes you think, that provides you value and helps you along your own health and fitness journey or your coaching journey and supporting others, head to the description below because there is a link there to join my email list. It's completely free and it's just more weekly value, just like the podcast. So head over there, join me and my community. It would be so, so lovely to have you. And as I mentioned in a previous podcast, I am going to be running a free webinar on managing social occasions in a few weeks, which I'm really, really excited for. And if you're on my email list, you will get the link to join the webinar to secure your space on it. So make sure you're on there if you want to be in with a chance of doing that. It would be a pleasure to have you there. Like I said, it's completely free. It's going to be a one-off event. There will be a recording sent out to anyone who registers for the webinar. But there will also be additional resources that you can use with yourself if you do come live. So there is massive benefits to doing that. Not just the resources themselves, but also coming live gives you the opportunity to ask questions and to benefit from the webinar far more than what you would if you just watched the replay. So please come live if you can. And let me know if you have any questions on that at all. I will see you next week.